Dystopia tonight. Dystopia tonight.
No, I would have just told you I was pooping, but it's fine. I love your background is completely virtual. I like that there's an element to this where like I'm not allowed to see where you live, which I'm not like. Are you in witness protection? What is happening? I never like the other day when we were going to do this, you were in your car and you still had this background.
Well, I think I have always been a firm believer of never letting people know the full picture, not letting them know your next move. I'm a big manifester. I'm a big believer in manifestation. So to me, this is this is real. Especially
you know what? It could very well be. I'm sorry I blew your cover. We'll cut it, we'll edit it in post, and it'll look like you have a lovely home. How about that?
Thank you so much. My classic piano over here used to be played by
You
Mozart.
don't even know where it is. Like my classic
by
piano to the other side of me.
By Mozart over here, and my in-laws are upstairs.
Oh,
hopefully
you
they don't.
Already married and shit. Big dreams. In-laws.
My in-laws.
Oh, do you want to get married? What's your deal? Talk to me about that.
Actually, that we're rolling already.
Oh yeah, we're already going. You're on my time now.
Oh dear. Well, I guess this is a moment of truth.
Yeah.
Well, luckily for me, nobody's home. It's just me and my grandma who doesn't speak English. So, I would actually love to get married.
Really?
Yeah. I think my dream wedding would be like a destination wedding at like a tropical location.
So when you say destination wedding, what you're secretly saying is that you don't want anyone to come to your wedding.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's what that means.
Don't think a lot of people are going to be at my wedding to begin with.
Oh no, I'll go. I mean, not if it's I won't be able unless you fly me out. But if you're having a destination wedding and you live in that kind of house, you're already loaded. You should be flying me out.
You're so right. Wow. You're so invited to my wedding.
We're all gonna yeah.
I'm thinking of actually having it in Cabo. For the record, For the record, this is just manifesting. I'm 100% single. Nobody out there is trying to marry me.
Here's the thing. Everyone's trying to marry you. You're just very selective. You're not just going to give it out. You're not just going to have them put a ring on any old finger.
John, with friends like you, I just need a friend like you. Like
I support it.
I'm so
support
lucky.
Your decisions, your life, yeah.
But yeah, no, I think because I am part of the LGBTQ plus community, I think because I was always like, from my perspective, I always thought I was kind of like an outsider and like that kind of life, the marriage life, the kids. I never thought it could be for me in the way I wanted it to be, which is like, but I've always seen myself as that, like, yeah. Like a mom. Like I would love to be a mom one day.
Yeah, you'd be a great mom. It's a very weird thing to like. I have so many friends in like the LGBTQ community and everything like that, and like through that struggle of like before it was legalized, to see everybody kind of fight the right to get married. I almost feel shitty for never wanting to be married. Like I'm like, man, I've got a group of people who have wanted nothing but the right to marry the person they love, and I am a straight white male, and I'm like, I could do without it.
I think, to be honest, that's a straight white male thing. I think you're lucky.
Yeah, probably. That we could do that. Yeah. Well, like I mean, all my friends are. I mean, it's just the clock's like it's so funny. I think like maybe
never had that.
Two of my friends, my one friend, she wants to be married, but she's not, and then now she's just kind of like I think she wants to be married if it works out. You know what I mean? She doesn't have any desire or need to be, but if she's dating somebody and she if that's the progression, she would get married. And then I have
That sounds like she wants to marry you, John.
no, no. Those are no. Nobody wants to marry me.
Oh,
There's just we both have the same.
probably. I'm sure it's her. I'm sure we have the same problem. I'm sure everyone is trying to marry us. We are just oblivious to that. Us both.
Yeah, it's just weird because like it's I'm close to God. I'm gonna be 40 in November, so it's like
Oh damn! I
wow.
thought you were
Fuck you
already.
too,
I thought you
Marley.
were already 40.
You what?
I thought you were already 40.
Wow, that's even worse.
I'm
Yes.
just kidding.
No, I know.
I'm a
Just joking.
troll.
No, it's not too bad. Yeah, no, but I don't like all my friends are pretty much hooked up and they've got, whatever. I don't know. I
They
just
got whatever.
also they've got whatever. You know what I mean? Or they're like that, where they don't get married, but they basically consider themselves married because they're like, I've been together with this person for 17 years. You know what I mean? So they're just like, we're not going to do it on paper, but they call each other husband and wife. But like, I don't know. I just never I think like when I was younger, I did everything backwards. When I was younger, I was ridiculous. And I thought 100% I wanted to do like the marriage, or I just liked the idea of like, first of all, living with a woman sounded great, especially when you have, you know what I mean? Like when you're
Yeah.
younger and you're like not having sex or anything like that, or like nothing's going on. And then like suddenly it happens. You're like, I could live with a lady and they don't leave. This is great. And then of course, but that's when like you're in your 20s and there's no responsibility really, and you're still just kind of like just out of college or whatever, and things are kind of fun. And then of course, reality sets in and you're like, oh, they never leave. And I don't mean, I just mean like women have that same thing for some men. Like, we don't go anywhere. Like, you're married and that's it. So you really have to be the type of person to do it. So it's
Yeah.
so funny. I don't know why this turned into a marriage counseling show or a relationship counseling, but I felt
no, it's fine. I
immediate
think it's
trust with you. I was like,
important.
let's talk about.
Thank you. I think for me, like it's I believe in the concept of like a soulmate and stuff
Oh,
like
that's so
that.
sweet.
Yeah, so I've always kind of been like I grew up reading books and watching Disney, so once I
Oh, right.
realized that like, someone like me could get married, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Screw it. Let's
Oh,
do it.
that's
Cuz before that I was a little cold to the idea because it didn't really resonate that I would ever marry a man, but once I got through that hurdle,
right.
I was like, oh no, yeah,
yeah, you're like, once I got over that fad,
like
that whole thing.
I'd for sure marry a woman, like
Did you-
so
Did you think, when you were younger, before you realized like your sexuality and everything? Did you think did you picture? Because I thought about this about myself when I was younger. Like if I was with somebody, I think that would help along the natural progression of like, oh yeah, I'm picturing coming home to them and them being in a house, and you kind of develop that thing around you. But when I'm single, and when I was younger and dating and doing whatever, and I was single, I just never thought of that. Like it wasn't a thing that I was younger in my brain. And I know most women like kind of grow up with that around them, and maybe most men don't. But then I talked to some of my guy friends and I found out that they always pictured themselves having a family.
themselves.
So I'm
No,
like,
I
that's
never,
so weird. So
I
did you
never
have like
pictured myself.
hmm.
I never pictured myself because I was actually raised by a single parent.
Okay.
So I never saw that at home. And then I never had those images in my head, I'm telling you, until after I overcame that hurdle.
Yeah.
of understanding why I couldn't see myself in like a regular marriage. So no, I didn't grow up seeing myself doing that, but I grew up believing in the concept of love, and I grew up observing how like a good love can make you, or can make you essentially, how the world is, it always comes back to that, like the concept of like a soulmate, the fairy tale life, the good job, the big house, like. But no, I never saw myself directly up until like a few years ago, actually.
That's really cool. I'm just fucking. I don't know. Maybe I can. I don't know. I think I'm all right. But I think that's
I
nice.
think,
That it's nice that you did that a few years ago. That you're like, oh, now I finally get it, and you can connect the dots.
yeah.
I'm just gonna
Um,
plow through life and see what happens. I don't think I. I think it's too late. Like that's genuinely how I feel. Like I think it's too late to like, and
don't,
I don't mean that I want to, and I think it's too late. I also just feel like there gets to a certain point where you're not those you're not aiming towards that. So I'm not even meeting people with the anti. Like I for some reason still think I'm in my 20s, where like I meet people and I expect them to have no expectation, like I'll meet like a woman or whatever, and we'll start talking about stuff, and then I slowly but surely find out like, oh duh, like obviously, clock's ticking for her too. She wants it to go somewhere, and then like you're going to vacations together and you're building a life and a house, and I'm just like, no, I don't want to do any of that.
that's so
I
funny.
know it's weird.
Damn you. Hey, I mean, maybe, how old are you?
I'm 39.
You're 39. The only explanation I have to that, and of course it's weird and it's out there, but it's me. I think you're probably part of the second wave of volunteers that Dolores Cannon talks about,
Hmm.
of people that are currently like in their 40s right now, or I guess late 30s, and that there's a cohort of people around your age actually, because I know a couple of people your age that actually don't want to get married whatsoever.
Yeah.
And they're very logical about it. They're like, yeah, I don't want to bring a child into this
Oh,
horrible
same.
world.
That would never be the
Eh,
equation. Yeah.
right. So Dolores Cannon, I don't know if you know who she
No.
is. She's this author. She's already dead, but she's a very famous author and past life regressionist. I'll send you some of her YouTube
Please.
stuff.
Yeah.
And she had a theory that the people that were born after the bomb of Hiroshima were people with extraterrestrial souls. Like that
Oh.
there came three that she documented up to three cohorts of extraterrestrial souls. The first wave, which is now like 60s, 50s,
Wow.
the second wave, which is around your age, I'm guessing. I think you're in that category, and the third wave, which is definitely me. So she said that the second wave, and her concept is that like when after Hiroshima dropped, the atomic after the atomic bomb dropped in Hiroshima, there was so much damage caused to the earth simply because of pettiness and the human desire to
Right.
to fight each other and destroy each other for no reason, that a lot of other like planets that are within like this galaxy, the Milky Way, came together in outer space and were like, we got to stop these idiots, because if they collapse planet Earth with these bombs, they're going to collapse the galaxy and the universes. Like, they're going to make a mess. So, what they started doing is instead of like, they started sending like extraterrestrial souls like into human bodies, which is the starseed concept. And Dolores Cannon discovered this because she was a past life regressionist.
Mm-hmm.
And sooner than later, like a lot of the people that she would treat and send into past life regressions, like they weren't going into like into like terrestrial lives. Like they were going to outer space,
Wow.
or they were going back to source. And they explained that concept to her. And within and I think you're probably part of the second wave.
Okay.
And a lot of second wavers don't want to reproduce because they don't want to create more karma on Earth, and they just want to leave. But third wavers like me, we're the builders of the new Earth. So we're trying to like bring in like a better seed into the Earth. So we're a little more open to procreating and getting married.
Right.
So that's the only explanation I have for that. I don't know.
First of all, if there was ever a way to convince me to like get married and have kids, it's to bring nerdy space shit into it. So like everything you just said, I was just like, no, this sounds so much cooler
Okay, good.
than just, working a 9 to 5 and not having sex and coming home to a loveless night. Like that's not like, this is a space purpose. I'm totally in for this.
Yeah, I'll send you the books and I'll send you the YouTubes. Like I'm not much of a reader, to be honest, but I like watching YouTube videos.
Cool.
So I'll send. It's because I read so much in college and it was awful. But you learn
what
faster.
Did you study in college?
I studied a lot of boring stuff. I studied political science and economics.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to be a lawyer, or I wanted to work for the government. And then after college, I went to Congress and I met the worst people in the
Oh
world.
yeah, they're all there.
And I decided that I was like not it. So I went somewhere equally horrible, which is Hollywood, which is actually hundreds of times lighter than what I saw in Congress. Because at least when
no, it does. It
people
totally
have
makes
fun.
Yeah. So here's I think I understand exactly what you're saying, because there is kind of a bizarre like equivalency for Hollywood and Congress, whatever.
Yeah, there
But
is.
the great thing about Hollywood is that they're not deciding or legislating anything. So you can
And
act or produce or write or direct or do whatever the fuck, but we do not have control over legislation or any of that shit. I mean, maybe, once in a while we can donate to a super PAC and try to influence it. But other than that,
yeah.
no one's letting us make laws. When you get to Congress and you're like, oh my God, these people are fucking bananas. Oh, and they're deciding how we live? That's fucked. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was an intern and I remember I would pick up the phone hundreds of times a day. And I and people were like crying on the phone. They would tell me like their circumstances, and these were like people that were about to lose their homes,
Yeah.
people that were having atrocities happen to them, and they were calling me because they thought I was the gatekeeper of the government.
Sure.
And I couldn't do anything for them.
It
And I was
sucks
just
because-
instructed to hang up.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
It does suck because you wind up working at those kinds of places. Any form of anytime you're working for government or volunteering for a government position, anybody that gets you on the phone that is looking for that kind of help, they probably somewhere in their subconscious understand that you're not the one pulling the strings, but they finally got a human being on the phone, and they want to place blame if you're not helping, and two, they want to vent and let loose. Like I worked for a nonprofit for a bit. I didn't work for them. I volunteered for a nonprofit for a bit because my parents lost their house in Hurricane Sandy. And
Oh, damn.
yeah, and I
Sorry.
did a bunch of charity gigs for raised a bunch of money right when Sandy had hit. I did one, and then I did another one with the organization when they had found out I had done one earlier. And then like 4 or 5 years later, I think, people were still hurting from it. So they reached out to me and we wound up getting in touch with each other.
Absolutely, yeah.
And but the crazy part of that is, and the unfortunate part, I think anybody who's ever worked in a nonprofit can tell you this, is that they are sometimes their own worst enemy, because once you start paying the people within the nonprofit, then it becomes a job, and it's no longer a solution based thing where, okay, great, we're going to shut down this operation, we no longer need, we did our jobs, we no longer do whatever. It just becomes this crazy thing that keeps going, and nothing ever in certain circumstances, but nothing ever really gets done. And I remember working at this place and seeing people come in all the time with all these problems, and a lot of the times the answers that these people working like at the nonprofit had were like, well, we're writing a bill, and well, we're doing this, and well, you've got to take the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, none of these people are looking for those answers. Like this woman, I remember this one woman was like, had to be in her late 70s, early 80s. And she had come in because she obviously had no place else to go. So this was her last ditch effort. She was like, I heard about this organization. And she came down, and I remember somebody working within the organization kind of trying to explain to her why it's taking so long and how it works. And I'm like, she doesn't want any of that. She needs someone to make phone calls for her. She needs money. She needs some kind of assistance because she doesn't have time, and she doesn't give a fuck about whether or not you guys are writing legislation. You know what I mean? Like, so, but it was very frustrating working, even on, like, you were working for somebody in Congress. Like, this was just on a local level. And I was like, this bureaucratic bullshit, it is fucking nuts. So I can't imagine having to go through it.
You become another cog in the system, in a sense.
Yeah, you're right. And that's a really good way to put it too, because it's not exactly. It's so sad that like initially, I think everybody wants to help in a certain way, and like, but the other crazy part is if you have it in you to do it, most of the change that does happen in the country comes from people who are just packing a bag lunch, and they're nameless, faceless, but they're going in every day. And they're able to put up with the bureaucracy and the cog, and like they're trying not to be a cog in the wheel, so they're doing everything they can to do it. But you have to, it's obviously not for you and I, because we're just it's a hard thing to. I'm sure it's stuff we care
I
about, but you really have to have the mindset for it.
I just didn't want to get stepped over, you
Yeah,
know? So I don't know, I just figured my efforts would be better if I was like healthy and not being like, discriminated against and
sure.
not being like, so yeah, I just moved out to Hollywood to, try to get my name out there and make films and stuff.
I remember when were you? Because you and I met in an
We met
elevator at
at a
APA.
top agency, yeah. So APA changed its name. It's called Artists First Initiative
Yeah.
now. Yeah, so they officially changed name, but at one point we were at one of the top agencies in the world. So
Yeah.
congratulations to
To
us.
us, yes, yes, we met in an elevator in there, and it was so funny too because it's I don't even like it's just funny because you meet people and you're the only two people in that elevator, but you immediately just started talking, like, and I was like, oh, this
Yeah,
person's really cool. And how fortunate though that like we both were talkative people, like, I met people in elevators before, I've never fucking seen them again. Like, and then
like me,
but
I've actually never seen you again after.
no, we
Like
never
we
saw
just
each
met
other in
in an
person again.
elevator,
Yeah, but
but
we
we've
did
been
keep in touch.
cyber friends. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but we did wind up, oddly enough, just keeping in touch with each other and like staying, but like, yeah. So how long had you been in LA at that point in Hollywood?
So I'm actually a Los Angeles native.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so I was born here. Believe it or not, there's a lot of us. For example, in Fairfax, you got the Jewish community. Up in
Hmm.
Glendale, you got the Armenian community. Up in the Hollywood Hills, you have a lot of like musical African Americans. Out in Boyle Heights in the south of LA, you got all of us, the Chicanos, and what's like Huntington Park, Whittier, Downey. Then you got Inglewood. I think Kendrick Lamar is from Inglewood.
Yeah, I think you're
I could
right.
I could be wrong, but there's a lot of us. So when I hear like actors like Zoe Deschanel say that nobody's from LA, I'm like, well, that's your perspective. Like, there's a
Mm.
lot of us. So I actually went to high school in Southgate High School. Shout out to the Rams. And I went to UCLA. I never thought I'd get in there
Oh wow,
because
nice.
I don't think I wasn't very studious in college, but I guess I manifested that. I actually wanted to go to UC Santa Barbara so I could like surf and party, but when I got into UCLA, it became clear that I should take it more seriously. So I ended up going to UCLA, which was good because there was a shooter that year in UC Santa Barbara.
Oh my
So
god.
I think maybe that probably fate. My angels were like guiding me in a different
Yeah,
direction.
yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then I was gonna be an entertainment attorney, but when I graduated, I landed a role in a movie in a film called Cupcake, which is it was just a short film, and I don't know if you've. I'll put it on my YouTube later on so you can see it,
Yeah,
but that's when my love for acting. Like I always knew I was gonna be an actress. I always knew I was an actress because I was always like, role playing acting roles. I was like Leo DiCaprio was like my acting crush and
oh
Titanic and
man,
all that
everybody
stuff.
back then loved Leo. I mean, they still love him now,
Yeah,
but
right.
like,
I still love Leo.
I was
Like
gonna say,
he's
yeah.
the home.
Who?
So to me, like I grew up on that stuff, and I always knew I was going to be part of the entertainment industry. I just was very happy when I finally got the opportunity to act.
Yeah,
Um, and I've been doing it ever since.
yeah. I
Even
know
when I'm
you're.
not
Always, I mean,
doing it
I
full
always
time,
see
I'm
you
doing
plugging
it.
away, and you're just always
Thank
hard at
you.
work at something, and you've always got something up your sleeve, which is great.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
And my Frida film got into this Oscar qualifying festival. It's the first
Congratulations.
milestone for me. So I played Frida Kahlo in a film, and I was also a producer on it, but that's besides the point. And it got into the LA International Short Film Fest, which is Oscar qualifying and
That's
BAFTA
fantastic.
qualifying. So I'm crossing my fingers.
But what made you decide to tackle this film?
Oh wow. So it was actually a lot of stuff. So I had seen the Frida film, right? The
Hmm.
Oscar winning film with Salma Hayek, right?
Hmm.
So I don't know where in my in my young and dumb little head, it occurred to me that I could also play Frida Kahlo, right? Seeing that there's so much work about her already, you know, like
Yeah,
in a sense, it's almost like why would they need me to play Frida Kahlo when they had Salma Hayek already win an Oscar for that? There was like, you could think there was no point, but when I went to the Frida exhibit, in the I, like in 2022, I went to the Frida exhibit and I was sitting there, and I remember that I was sitting there in Los Angeles at the Frida exhibit, and I realized that a lot of the stuff that was being told about Frida was being told about like a more mature Frida, like a Frida that was like 37, 35 and above,
hmm,
married. A lot of it just had to do with like kind of like how Hollywood portrayed her,
sure,
like with affairs, with miscarriages, with
right,
being a wife, like her affairs with this like Russian diplomat
yeah,
or whatever. Like it was also like I didn't really like I knew that there had to be more about her. I was like, why don't they like do more stuff about like her? Like who cares if she had like an affair? Like how do you know she had an affair? Like to me it seemed like nonsense. I'm like, why wouldn't you like portray her in a way that would like that shows how like productive she was for art in Mexico
sure,
and for women, like cuz I'm like a Mexican American. So it's like Frida Kahlo is like one of the only like figures that I look up to, and I'm like, why don't you show us more about like her origins or like before she got married?
yeah,
Like if she was a man, you guys would be doing that. You guys wouldn't care about who she married or who she fucked, you know?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
so
Yeah, I remember
so
seeing
yeah,
that film when it came out, and I was
that's
like,
what
there
inspired me.
must have been more to her than just the salacious kind of, you know. And I get it, that kind of shit sells,
Threesomes, right?
but also, yeah, but the cool
Also,
thing,
let's be real. That movie was produced by Harvey Weinstein.
yeah, no, that's a good point. But what's really cool, and what I think you've tapped into, is uh, the audiences that we have today are far more interested in somebody's artistic expression and how they got to it and how it helped them develop as a person than they are in just, hey, here's this artist who used to fuck and had some, you know, weird shit happen. Not that that was the only thing that movie's about, but really, like, that seems to be, there was a time and a place where, you know, you would see these movies about these people, and it was always like, hey, you know, so and so, they're a tech giant. Well, did you know they had a million affairs? Or you know about so and so, did you know they were you know? And it was just this, you know, it would kind of overshadow who their talents and their gifts and who they were.
It like I feel like it reduces people because like to me like again I did some research and I went to the museum and I interviewed teachers in Mexico, like my cousins who are teachers, and I was like, what do you know about Frida Kahlo? And they were like, I just know she was Diego Rivera's wife.
Huh.
And I went to the museum and that was like, I asked the boys and the girls that like were the museum guards, I'm like, what do you know about Frida Kahlo? And they're like, nothing. I
Wow.
know nothing about her. And I was just like, oh. And but everybody knows about Diego Rivera, and I don't know, I just thought like something in me kind of told me like, why don't you do like a little film about her age's childhood to when the accident happened when she was 18,
Right.
and kind of like do like a little tribute to her. And 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 I just decided to do it. I just decided I would play her before I got too old. And I was probably already a little too old to play her, to be honest with you.
No, I've
But
seen some of the stuff you've been posting, you know, in general, and some of the stills. And I think I saw you were posting some, you know, BTS stuff, behind the scenes stuff, you know, or whatever. And you looked and everything looked great. So, you know, you killed it.
thank you so much. It was just my tribute to her, and it's funny because I'm I'm rather lazy. I don't really prepare for my roles that much. I used to be method. I'm not method anymore. I'm rather lazy. My coaches will tell you that.
Hmm.
Um, I I like but you know, studying Frida and like, you know, living with her for so long, I didn't really prepare for my scene that much, but I think like living in the character and soaking up what she was and who she was. I think I was just channeling her throughout the movie. So I think my laziness paid off.
No, that's great. Sometimes over preparation, like anything else, can kind of kill, a passion for something that you have, because it's hard to find the news sometimes if you're like overly prepared. There's only so much preparation you can do.
I think I'm wired to procrastinate, to be honest.
Ditto.
That's how I've
Right
gone
there
through
with you.
everything in life.
100%. And that serves its purpose sometimes too. And it's the ADHD inside of us, probably.
Probably.
Yeah. But so as a producer on the film, because like how long is your film? How long does it run?
Well, I would like to say it's 40 minutes or something like that,
Great.
but it's not. It's just 5 minutes and a half.
No. You're hitting the nail right on the head here, because I did a short film, and mine was like 11 minutes, and producing it, whatever. But like, you produced yours as well. Just talk about that experience, having to do that and getting the materials you needed and what you needed to put into place. Because it's, even for a 5-minute film, which is great, because now it's an Oscar nominated, it's a, what is
Thank
it?
God it paid off. It's a BAFTA and Oscar nominated film festival. It's
Yes. And so, but I mean,
LA
like, even a 5-minute film, when you're working behind the scenes to do that takes a lot. It still takes a lot of effort to get it done.
It was a lot of money, John. I fundraised, thankfully, through Nelson and Fanny Grande, through their little crowdfunding platform called Support Your Story through Avenida Productions. So shout out to them. They really helped me, because had it not been for Fanny pushing me to crowdfund and to take that first step to tell people my story and what I wanted to do about Frida's story and to fundraise a little bit of money, I wouldn't have gotten the ball rolling, because I did raise approximately like $3,000 from like my followers and my friends and my family and I guess fans.
Sure.
And however, I had to invest $10,000 out of pocket.
Holy shit.
Yeah, for a 5-minute film. And it's because I learned a lot as a producer during this process. Like to begin with, I had to book flights for the cast and the crew from Los Angeles to go to Mexico City. And I didn't buy what they call airplane insurance. So I had to cancel the tickets and buy them again, because my cinematographer wasn't available the day that I thought she would be available. So that was some of the money that had to go down the drain. And for another part, I overpaid my actresses in Mexico because I didn't have access to an ATM to break up $50 bills. So I was paying everybody like I was part of the mafia. And I think one of the moms of one of my actresses thought I was part of the mafia, because I give her like a couple of hundreds and she looks at me and she's like, okay. She walks away. So I looked a little sketch throughout all that.
Wow.
And I think another part of the expenses were I'm a little extra, John. I'm a tourist,
just
so
a smidge.
I like just a smidge.
We still love you anyway.
Luxury. I mean, look at my house right here.
I know. Look at that. That is a beautiful, beautiful design.
Only the best for me and my crew.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a tourist with a Leo moon, so of course I took my cast and my crew to socialize with producers in Mexico City at Michelin star restaurants. I did that not once, I did it twice. And of
Remind
course,
me to get casted in your next indie project. Jesus Christ.
And of course, we went to casinos, and we did go to casinos, and I think I got billed for that. I must have gotten billed for something at the casino. And we were taking
either that or they're still looking for you. Yeah.
I mean, and then on top of all that, we stayed in Frida Kahlo's house was the blue La Casa Azul.
Yes.
It's a museum, right?
Yeah.
So of course I call and I'm like, can I rent it out?
Wow.
But they ignored me because the money I could give them isn't the equivalent of their operations.
Right.
So of course I found an Airbnb 2 blocks from there that was identical to La Casa Azul.
That's great.
And it was a 5-star Airbnb owned by like this lovely family. And and I rented it out for 3 days and 2 nights, and you know, my crew and my cast, my crew in particular, my FX artist
Hmm.
and my cinematographer and her assistant, we were able to sleep in like a different room every night. And
Wow.
yeah,
But see,
I gave my yeah.
this is one of the things I love about you is that you actually called the Frida Kahlo. Like instead of like, you know how many
I had
people,
to.
but exactly, but that's just like, but do you know how many people probably would talk themselves out of taking those kind of chances? And that, I think that is something I admire in somebody else when I see that is that you were just like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking call the Frida Kahlo house and see if it's within my budget or maybe because who knows? You would, there's a good chance
Maybe they could
you,
sponsor me. That's what I
yeah.
thought.
Yeah, that or you could have found somebody on an off day and they could have just been like, yeah, you know what? Why not, we'll just give it to you for free. You know, we got a weekend. We had guests, they canceled, so come on over. It's fine.
Thank you, John. I thank you for believing in my weirdness.
Oh, it's so good.
No,
It's so
but
good to be like that.
no, but I think the best opportunities sometimes come from just going for it, because I feel like, you know, you get so used to doing something a certain way, and then little kids are good at this. Like, you know, like when little kids like they like do something different, like they like, I don't know, like I
No, but I remember
you know what
I
I
know exactly what you're saying because I
you know what
think
I mean,
back
right?
to yeah, I think back to when I was a kid and how free I was to
Mm-hmm.
just
The
do
freedom.
and say the dumbest shit without any fear of like whatever. And now, like as an adult, you're so like, oh my
You're
god, what if
scared
I'm
of
wrong? What if
everything,
I like,
yeah.
what if somebody thinks this is weird or whatever? But yeah, no, kids have an amazing amount of freedom.
Right. So that's something I like to do in myself and in my YouTube channel and in my work. I like to just take a moment and be like, is this really me, or is this like what would the higher self do? Like what would a
Mhm.
child do? Like, you know, and then I just take it from that perspective.
It's great.
So yeah, I mean, to be honest, I did a lot. I looked up the manager of the Frida Kahlo estate. I tried getting a hold of their lawyers, their publicists, the granddaughter of Frida Kahlo. Nobody, I think like the manager of the estate liked a few of my Instagram pictures. Like,
Oh, that's so
but not
nice
even
though.
like the professional ones, like the Instagram model ones. Like, so it was like nothing came of that. So
No,
I
but
just
it's
decided to take matters into my own
but here's what
hands.
did come of
Hopefully I
it.
don't get sued.
No, 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 exactly. But here's what did come of it. Like there are people that are now aware of you, and
I hope
you're
so.
on their radar to a certain extent. They know what you've been doing. You're always going to be that person to them that was like, yeah, we had this actress call who was producing and directing a movie, and yeah,
This
she
lunatic.
got her shot. But I mean, they'll see you sometime down the road. You know what I mean? It's going to be great.
I would hope so. I would hope so. But yeah, no, that's I'm glad it paid off. And what did I learn from producing? I learned to believe in myself, and
Good.
I really liked the way people looked at me when I was producing. Because I've always been an actress, you know, and I've
Mhm.
always been like the youngest woman in a humongous Mexican family. So respect and like looking to me for directions has been a new role that I've been taking in my life now that I'm like an older sister to my siblings and a caretaker to my grandma, you know. So being a producer was so cool because I had like these young actresses look up to me, and I had crew and like other people like kind of like put their trust in my hands, and I felt like it was a really cool lesson in leadership because I realized how precious the trust of other people is, and how privileged one can be to have a position where you're like in charge of people. So I still
Yeah.
can't understand how somebody could be like a toxic boss or a bad manager, but like I'm excited to level up in my career and have employees of my own one day at my own production company
Mhm.
or
It's kind
media
of funny
company.
the opportunities that we give ourselves in the business often lead to um, a new skill set or like a part of ourselves that we didn't know we wanted to explore or liked or anything like that. But it is one of those things where you're like, oh my god, like I can handle you know a new role and within the industry that we've already been in and explored, for years.
Yeah, and it taught me another thing. Like, even if you've been in the same like industry for years, like there's always so much more to explore. Like, never think that you've learned it all, because then that's when you stop learning. Always
Yeah,
know that there's somebody who could be a few steps above you who could teach you something, or somebody who may be even at your level who can open a door for you to go somewhere that you weren't before, and you
sure.
can get to the next level. And like, you can always grow even within one industry.
Yeah, absolutely. What was? Do you remember your like other? Did you have any other passions when you were a kid before you wanted to be an actress? Like, what was the? You know, what was like? Because
Oh yeah,
what do you want to be?
I mean, I wanted to be an NBA player.
Wait a minute, how tall are you?
Not tall at
Yeah, I know. I was
all,
gonna say
but
we're around the same height. Unless we got on each other's shoulders, I don't think either of us could make it in the NBA.
how tall are you?
I'm 5'4".
Oh, I'm 5'6".
Yeah, you're way
Yeah.
taller than me.
Thank you. No, I actually wanted to be a basketball player, but um I in high school I wasn't given the opportunity to, and I decided to focus on academics because I realized that getting into college was better for me
Hmm.
than, yeah, I realized my
Could you play?
I probably, huh?
Could you play?
I can play with you, yeah. I Well, it's because I was a really good player in middle school. Like, I was the
Gotcha.
type of in middle school, and
That was
I was the type of player that there would be games and I would score everything,
nice.
and my own team members were angry at me,
I like
and
that you
everyone in
subtly
school was
equate me
talking
to a
about
middle
me.
schooler. You were like, all
Huh?
right, height, attitude. I can take him. I can take middle schoolers. I can take John.
No. When I was in middle school, I was a star basketball player in school.
I believe you. Yeah.
And I remember the way I felt, the way that, like, maybe nobody knew who the fuck I was, or nobody cared about me. But when I was playing basketball, like, I felt like this admiration,
Mm.
and I felt like I was on a stage, really, and that the ball and me and the games were like magic. So I was performing in a sense.
Hmm.
So I didn't have the resources in high school to keep pursuing it, and to be quite honest, I think my physique, the fact that I didn't grow more than 5'6", like, really, I think it deterred me. But I think, like, even in like high school, I started to take more of an interest in the arts over sports. Like, I became clear that, like, I was more inclined towards, like, becoming an actress and becoming a professional
Yeah.
basketball player. Yeah. I think that's pretty obvious. Like, if I was 6'1", maybe the opposite would be obvious, but, like, you know.
Do you like? Are your aspirations for acting like? Are you up for anything, or do you primarily want to do film? Do you like TV? Like, would you do like? Are you
Sure,
like? What kind of auditions are you going out for?
sure. So right now, I'm in an interesting place because I started working with this incredible acting coach. Her name is Amy London,
Cool.
and shout out to Amy
I
London.
think I know who that
And
is.
no, she's cool. Like, I honestly, when I first found out about her, I was like, this is just a saleswoman. But then I met a friend that recommended me to her, and I listened to what she has to say, and I was just like, you know what? The the reason she's such a good coach is because a lot of people, because she because a lot of people, like they don't know how to listen, or they don't believe in themselves, so then they don't trust.
Yes.
But I decided to trust her, and I've had a great year. I've had, like, readings for NCIS.
Oh,
I've had, like, recurring auditions for that.
nice.
Like, I read for a lot of, like, Chicago Fire procedural shows, a lot
Cool.
of, like, AI shows. And right now I'm not really represented, so I'm not, like, reading as much as I want to be, but I will,
Yeah.
thanks to Amy. Um she's been helping me prepare for television, because as much as I like film and independent film, the truth of the matter is that in the industry, television is becoming the new film in a sense,
Hmm.
because, look at the quality of HBO Max, for
Yes.
example. I don't have to go further than that, right?
No, yeah.
So yeah, so just I've been preparing myself and my materials for television so I can play like detectives, like so I can play, maybe cops.
Yeah. I just saw you post a clip of you as a detective. What was that from? Was that just a sketch that you and your friend did, or?
We just did it. Yeah, my coach actually wrote it for me, and I'm kind of playing a combination of like Clarice from Silence of the Lambs and Kate Winslet from Mayor of Easttown.
Oh, that's cool.
And my buddy Morrison is playing like a corrupt farmer who wants to silence me because his farm practices are shady.
That's a
But
lot. Yeah. Okay.
so so yeah, I like I but if you were to ask me what I truly want to do, to be honest, I've always loved biopics.
Hmm.
Like always. Like I I've always loved biopics. Like I've always liked those movies about like artists. When the Michael Jackson biopic was being filmed this year, you better believe I was messaging every casting director and be like, please let me be a groupie. Please let me be, I don't know, someone stand-in. I don't know, anyone you can buy me for.
Yeah.
But I never heard back from that. But I love biopics. I love period pieces. I love kind of like
Yes.
sci-fi stuff. Yeah. Magic almost.
What are you watching? I mean, I love like Stranger Things is something I've been waiting for to come back. Season 5. The kids are going to be 40 by the time they come back, but the right.
We're going to be dead.
Yeah, I was going to say the writer. Yeah, exactly. The writer's strike is just fun.
Millie Bobby Brown just got married and we haven't. to the son of John Bon Jovi.
I know. Isn't that fucking wild?
Well, I'm glad she found somebody worth their salt, but like, damn.
Yeah, I know. That's a good family to marry into.
Yeah, that's a good match for her because she's like Millie Bobby Brown is probably a millionaire by now. She can't just go out with any old schmuck. Like,
it's crazy. I honestly like. It's one of those weird matchups where you're like, how the fuck did they meet?
I'm glad they did. They look cute.
They look good together.
I don't really say this, but they look cute together.
Yeah, they do look good together. If I ever run into Bon Jovi out here in New Jersey, I will let you know. I will let him know that you said that. I'll be like, Marley.
Thank you. Well, Marley sends her blessing.
Yeah.
No, I would actually like to play like if Bon Jovi ever does a biopic. I would love to be in a biopic like that. And Dune, if Dune 3 comes along, I'll be in that in a heartbeat.
I think they might be doing a Dune 3.
I'll be one of the bald like Austin Butler where he plays that scene where he's like, I gotta cut your head off.
Yeah.
Like, I'll play like his sister or something.
That'd be awesome.
In a heartbeat. I'd be like, I'll cut your head off. Like we could have a Coliseum scene where we can kill each other. And I win. Maybe spare his life. I don't know.
Oh, that would be so good. Yeah, I don't know if I hope they do a Dune 3 because I feel like they fucking owe it to us. Like
they owe it to us,
right?
Yeah, for sure. They do, yeah, they do.
So okay,
and more Star Wars.
Oh God, yeah. Oh man, Star Wars can go for. I would look at this. Come on, this is a great shirt.
That's why I'm telling you, you're part of the second wave of volunteers. I think you have an extraterrestrial soul, John.
Thank you. That's the nicest thing anybody said to me.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you the last 3 questions that I ask every guest on the show. So now you're going to be into the Dystopia Tonight lexicon. First question is, if you can go back in time and talk to your younger self, what piece of advice would you give yourself that would help you today?
You don't have to you don't ever have to compromise yourself and your values. Ever. No matter who it is.
Love that. And the second question is, what had to end in your life, good or bad, that led you to where you are today?
I guess working in finance at the corporate level.
Yeah, that'll do it. Were you scared when you quit your job?
No, because I got fired. It was the best thing ever.
That's so great.
It was bizarre.
No, I believe
they were questioning my sanity, but I mean, I'm I'm not stupid. Like, I knew I was being gaslit by a narcissist. So I looked at my, like, I got fired over an email.
Oof.
And I was working for this woman who was like in her 50s, I'm sure, and had like spent the last 30 years of her life like berating people over emails and trying to convince them and gaslight them into thinking that they didn't have the skills to organize emails. And like, it was just like below at anybody's paycheck. And she looks at me and she's like, why did you mislabel that email? And then I said, I didn't do it. And then she asked me again, why did you mislabel that email? And I said, I didn't do it. And she asked me again, why did you mislabel that email? And I said, I didn't do it. And then I got fired. Because I was like, I'm not mentally ill.
Yeah.
And I'm not mentally unstable. I know what I did and I didn't do. You're just gaslighting me.
Yeah. Totally.
You're probably a narcissist, I said to her. And then I got fired.
Good for you. That's a good firing story. Last question is, if this was a genuine dystopia, more so than it seems like now, and you woke up tomorrow and you found out it was everybody had 24 hours left, end of the world, what do you think would have caused it? Do you think it would be a comet, climate change, political collapse, alien, zombies, whatever it is? And what would be your epic death? How do you want to go out?
Well, it would have to be the nuclear bomb.
Okay.
So if we did have 24 hours to live, I mean, I'm living with my grandma right now, so I would just choose something to do and distract her, and then make sure she's asleep. She's asleep by the time the bombs come.
That is probably the sweetest answer we've had.
What do people usually say? Who are you?
I mean, dude, a lot. Like I, you know, some people are like, I do all the drugs I stopped doing, or you know, Colin Mockery had a great one. Colin Mockery said he would like it to be aliens, and how he wanted to go out was that they needed, oh God, what did he say before I fuck it up? He said, they would need his seed to survive the world, so they would just make love to him until he was a husk.
Does this man have a family?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, it's fictitious, so it's like, you know, it's your epic death. I'm not saying that deciding to chill with your grandma isn't like epic, but it's nice. But you know, it's up to you.
You know, it's funny, like, I've stopped taking roles and auditioning for stuff that I wouldn't want, like, my future children to see me in.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's bold.
Yeah.
It's bold to think that we're going to have a future. No, I'm just kidding. It just got dark at the end. Thank you so much for doing this, though. It was lovely talking to you.
No, thank you. I'm sorry I rescheduled you like 100 times.
It's fine.
And I've tried doing these interviews from behind a dumpster.
No, you've got a beautiful mansion with a piano.
Oh, right.
You're fine.
You want to see the real background?
Yeah, please. It probably was fine.
I don't know how to take... I've been so filtered and fake that I don't even know how to...
Yeah, let's see the real thing before you get out of here.
Okay. It's just the wall.
Oh, yeah, you would have been fine.
It's not that fun. My mansion, John.
No, you're right.
With my piano.
I hope the next time we speak, this is actually real. It's a real mansion. That's what I hope for you.
I'm manifesting it. You'll see.
Yes. Manifest some shit for me, too, while you're at it.
I will.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited about your film and the festival that it's in and everything. I hope I can get out there to see it, and I'll see you soon, hopefully.
Thank you. We'll keep in touch. I'm sure I'll see you again. At least we can go to a bar or something.
Yeah, or just hang out in an elevator like we did before. That's fine. Not a couple floors in a building we don't want to be in.
Do you know they moved from that building?
I do. Which was, by the way, I don't know where they moved to, but I hope... I mean, the parking in that other location was I got so many tickets. Like, having to go to that building.
You didn't ask the valet to help you?
Valet?
Yeah, you go up to the valet guys and they take your car.
No, I didn't know that. See, this is
McLaren.
This is what happens when I don't live in LA. Like, I was not from LA. Like, I moved there from here, and
So you were scared. You thought they weren't going to accept your little car.
Yeah, I thought they thought I was a hobo.
No.
But